It wasn't just a spin, it wasn't just a disappointing Q1 exit. It was something deeper, something that made Lewis Hamilton, one of the most composed drivers in the history of the sport, speak a phrase he's never used before. First time in my career. And that right there, that one quiet line, is what sent shockwaves through the paddock. It wasn't shouted, it wasn't part of some dramatic radio meltdown. It was calmly delivered to the media, and it hit harder than any angry outburst ever could. You and I both know Lewis doesn't throw words like that around lightly. He's been through almost everything this sport can throw at a driver: championship fights, team politics, crushing defeats, and triumphant comebacks. But this time, this was different because what happened in Spa wasn't just about grip or tires. It wasn't even about spinning out, it was about silence, about isolation, about trust slipping through the cracks after spinning into the final chicane and watching his lap go up in smoke. Hamilton didn't hear comfort. He didn't get a strategic reset. The radio stayed eerily quiet, no guidance, no backup. And that's what triggered the now famous line, "It's the first time in my career." That phrase wasn't aimed at the mistake, it was aimed at the reaction, or better said, the lack of one. Ferrari fans were promised unity, a turning point, a new suspension that would finally give both drivers the confidence to push. But what did Hamilton get? Instability, radio silence, and a team that let the blame fall silently on his shoulders. That moment wasn't just a message to Ferrari, it was a warning. Now, I want to know what you think. Was Hamilton calling out someone specific inside Ferrari, or was it a broader shot at the entire system? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's start that conversation. And hey, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Your subscription really matters and helps us get closer to our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Trust me, the next chapter in this story is only getting more intense. Something's off inside Ferrari, and Spa made that clearer than ever. Let's talk about what really happened behind the scenes, because while the cameras followed the usual storyline, a far more telling drama was unfolding quietly in the background. Lewis Hamilton wasn't just fighting track conditions, he was fighting disconnection. While Charles Leclerc looked composed, confident, and praised the car, Hamilton was struggling with an unpredictable setup, a muted garage, and a sense that no one was truly on his side. We saw it play out in real time. In SQ1, Hamilton's first lap was messy and settled, shaky. Normally, that would prompt a cool recalibration. But instead, the instruction was simple and harsh: push. And he did straight into the final chicane, straight into the spin, and straight into silence. That moment wasn't about grip or aggression. It was about a car that simply refused to respond, and more importantly, about a team that didn't respond either. Riccardo Adami, the engineer supposed to be Hamilton's guide through this transition to red, said almost nothing. No soothing words, no strategic tweaks, no real-time adjustment. The radio was dead. And for a driver like Lewis, who's used to two-way trust and rapid feedback, that silence said everything. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. On the other side of the garage, Leclerc was in sync. P4, calm, confident, the same upgrade Hamilton said. Changed nothing had supposedly brought clarity and performance to Charles. That raises the question, how does one car fall apart while the other stabilizes? Is it driving style, setup differences, or is it something more political? You see, inside Maranello, people already know the answer. But no one is saying it out loud, and that silence? It's louder than any engine roar. Spa was supposed to be the reset point. Ferrari promised a turning of the page, but Hamilton was left improvising, managing, risk alone, while Leclerc looked like the golden child. That's not just imbalance, it's a pattern. One that longtime Ferrari fans might remember all too well. So here's a simple poll. Do you believe both Ferrari drivers are getting equal treatment behind the scenes? Vote yes or no in the comments and tell me why. I really want to hear your take. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us as we push toward our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Stay with us. The story isn't slowing down. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Because what Hamilton is dealing with at Ferrari right now isn't just a bad weekend or a technical setback, it's a complete cultural clash. Lewis didn't walk into Ferrari expecting perfection. He knew year one would be full of challenges, but what he didn't expect was silence. A team so rehearsed in deflection that it forgets what shared accountability even looks like. At Mercedes, failure was something they handled together. If the setup was wrong or something broke down, everyone in the room took a piece of that responsibility. It wasn't about blame, it was about finding solutions. But at Ferrari, Hamilton is learning something very different. When things go south, the garage gets quiet, the accountability disappears, and the driver is left to explain everything alone. That moment in Spa, when Lewis said tomorrow is a new day, wasn't optimism, it was leadership, because no one from the pit wall was stepping up. There was no emergency debrief, no team-wide response, just the same vague optimism that's covered Ferrari's problems for years. But Hamilton sees through it. And more importantly, he's keeping score. Think about what that says. A 7-time world champion spins twice in 24 hours, faces back-to-back Q1 exits, a career first, and not a single public statement from the team to defend or explain what happened. That's not just mismanagement. That's systemic indifference. It's a signal that Ferrari's internal culture still hasn't evolved, even with one of the sport's greatest leaders now in the garage. You can almost feel the tension. The contrast between how Hamilton was treated at Mercedes versus what he's experiencing now is stark. And it's forcing a lot of people to ask the real question: is Ferrari even ready for someone like Hamilton? Someone who demands transparency, precision, and most of all, mutual trust. Let's open that up. Do you think Ferrari's internal culture is compatible with the kind of leadership Hamilton brings? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious how you see this playing out. And don't forget, if you're following this story closely, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're building a community here, and your support helps us get closer to that 1,000 subscriber goal. What we saw in Spa wasn't just a frustrating race, it was a turning point. Because for the first time, Lewis Hamilton looked like a champion without control. He wasn't just managing a difficult car, he was navigating a system that left him exposed. That's what made his words sting so much. They weren't angry or reactive. They were measured, calculated, a signal that trust is starting to crack. Ferrari promised upgrades. The new suspension was supposed to unify performance between both cars. But while Leclerc said it gave him stability and confidence, Hamilton said it changed nothing. Same part, to different outcomes. Either that's just a coincidence, or it's about calibration. And when you pair that with the radio silence during key moments, it raises a chilling thought. Is Hamilton being left to figure things out on his own? Even the lap that was deleted for track limits at Dillon, of all places, wasn't just a minor slip. It was symbolic, a sign that he's driving at the edge without the kind of real-time support he's used to. Instead of operating with Ferrari, it feels like he's operating in Ferrari, as if he's been dropped into someone else's experiment and told to adapt without disturbing anything. This is where the disconnect really matters. It's not just about Hamilton and the car, it's about Hamilton and the people managing the car. The voices that should be guiding him, analyzing with him, adjusting in real time, they've gone quiet. That kind of silence isn't normal in Formula One, especially not for a driver with Hamilton's experience. And while Leclerc is seen debriefing in full, chatting calmly with his engineer, Hamilton walks back to the garage alone, no dialogue, no visible engagement. That's not just a rough weekend. That's a driver being sidelined by the very team he's supposed to help elevate. Quick yes or no, do you believe Ferrari's new suspension is truly working equally for both drivers? Let's get your vote in the comments, and if you're following Hamilton's story closely, make sure you're subscribed. We're heading straight into one of the most dramatic seasons of his career, and your support helps us reach that 1,000 subscriber milestone. So now we come to the real question: is Ferrari already losing Lewis Hamilton? What happened at Spa wasn't just a rough patch, it was a signal. A warning that something deep inside this team might already be slipping out of reach. Hamilton didn't lash out, he didn't point fingers. But make no mistake, he was sending a message. And that message was loud to those who know how to listen. He's watching, calculating, not just the lap times or the race results, but every silent radio, every setup shift, every unspoken decision. Because Lewis knows that success in Formula One isn't just about driving, it's about control. And at the moment, it feels like he's being asked to lead a project that doesn't want to be led. The reality inside Ferrari right now is difficult to ignore. On paper, both drivers have the same car, but in truth, they're running completely different realities. Leclerc is the chosen one, the native son, the driver the team has spent years building around. His instincts are respected. His feedback molds the car. Hamilton, on the other hand, is the outsider. The one expected to adapt, adjust, and absorb without shaking the foundations too much. But even legends crack when the system refuses to bend. And if this pattern continues, mismatched performance, inconsistent setups, lack of engineering support, this story won't be about Hamilton chasing wins in red. It'll be about whether he was ever given the tools to succeed in the first place. That's why Spa mattered. It wasn't just about a spin or a deleted lap, it was about belief. Not just belief in the car, but belief in the people behind it. And if that's starting to erode, the real danger for Ferrari isn't losing races, it's losing Hamilton. Let me know in the comments, can Ferrari keep Hamilton motivated through this political storm, or is history already repeating itself? And before you go, hit that subscribe button. Help us reach our 1,000 subscriber goal so you don't miss what's coming next, because this isn't just about racing anymore. This is about legacy, power, and a quiet war being fought behind closed garage doors.